Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into a set of source materials that are, frankly, pretty mind-bending.
That's one way to put it.
We're looking at something called the Luinear deception, and it's this incredibly dense mix of, well, everything. Poetry, complex physics, old history, and even a sci-fi story.
Right. And our job today is to really give you the key to unlock what these documents are obsessed with.
An obsession is the right word.
It really is. They are completely dedicated to proving that our normal idea of time, what we call linear time, is just incomplete. The authors built this entire system to show these hidden cyclical links between space, math, and really ancient texts.
And that distinction is the absolute core of this whole thing, the idea of linear versus non-linear time. Maybe we should start right there. Lay out the battlefield, so to speak.
Good idea. So the documents first define linear time, and it's basically what you'd expect.
The way we all experience it.
Exactly, that sequential flow. The past leads to the future, one moment comes after the next, like beads on a string. It's how we write history books.
It's how my calendar works.
It's how everything seems to work. But then they argue the real truth, the deeper layer, is in non-linear time.
Which is not so straightforward. It's more about cycles and resonance.
Cycles, resonance, even simultaneous events. If linear time is one after another, then nonlinear time is kind of all at once, or at least everything being deeply, eternally interconnected.
So the argument is that by focusing only on the sequence, we miss the loops.
We miss the loops, the echoes, the patterns. We miss the real machinery of the universe, according to this source.
And this whole philosophy, this mission to prove nonlinear time, it's even baked into how the sources were found. It's a contradiction right from the start.
It really is. The physical discovery is the first clue. These papers were found in a restricted zone in Droperia.
At the old Williams estate, in a place they called the library room.
And the main piece of evidence was this old Diebold floor safe from the late 19th century. Badly damaged, tilted at a weird angle.
And it had that strange etching on it, right? J.J. Dwight, January 10th, 1907.
Yeah, which Intel later confirmed was a total red herring. Just a ghost. The name has no connection to any of this.
But then, right next to this Victorian-era safe, they find what?
A 1964 Smith Corona Galaxy II typewriter. Fully functional.
So you have this immediate collision of time periods. The 1890s slammed right up against the dawn of the space race.
And that's the whole point. The setting itself is compressing time, showing you that these separate eras are connected.
And the sci-fi narrative that comes with it explains why. It sets up a mandate for this character, the cyborg captain.
Right. The whole story is about a pre-existing time loop that humanity has just forgotten about, or maybe ignored.
And the captain's job is to, what? Remind everyone.
To continue the research, to preserve and tell the stories rooted in truth. And there's this very stark warning.
I remember reading this. It says that without this truth, without understanding the underlying cycles, there is no life.
It's a cosmic survival manual, basically.
That is a very heavy foundation for a bunch of codes and math. It almost sounds religious.
And it is, in a way, which is why the whole thing opens with that poem, all 464 syllables of it. It starts out with this playful skepticism. It talks about a weird, barefooted man who rode light beams.
That has to be Einstein.
Oh, absolutely, with his chalkboard sums. It's connecting that kind of revolutionary physics with a need to defy authority, to question what you're told.
And the poem brings up light and cycles immediately. Ride the eternal light-filled sine wave.
Exactly. It's saying the universe runs on waves, on frequencies.
Okay.
And if you want to understand it, you need to find the right frequency and get in sync.
Which brings us to the moon, Selene.
Selene, yes. The poem says she deceives to the misperceived eye, but she's actually reflecting soul to balance all out.
So the problem isn't the moon, it's how we're looking at it.
It's how we're measuring it. The final line is the key. Calendars misguide eternity.
Okay, but hang on. Isn't there a contradiction here? The documents themselves are linear. They're a stack of paper found at one point in time. How do they reconcile that with their nonlinear goal?
That is the genius of it. They use the linear structure as a kind of Trojan horse. They take our tools, like the calendar, and use them against themselves to reveal the hidden cycle within.
Which is exactly what happens in the section on the elegant code.
Precisely. They set out to fix the calendar.
And the dedication here is just, it's staggering. They use our standard Gregorian calendar as, what, a memory aid?
A memory aid to derive the exact length of the lunar year. It's incredible. They turn the calendar into a clock.
Right. So you take the month number as the hour and the number of days as the minutes.
Yep. So January, month 1, 31 days, becomes 1.31 on their clock. February month 2, 28 days becomes 2.28.
And then the task is to calculate the missing time. How many minutes until the next hour?
Exactly. For 1.31, you need 29 minutes to get to 2.0. For 2.28, you need 32 minutes to get to 3.00. You do this for all 12 months.
And then add up all those missing minutes for the whole year.
You sum them up. And the author derived 3 different annual totals for a normal, and leap year sequence. The sums were 355, 355, and 354.
Okay, and this is where it gets really clever. They weren't just calculating, they were looking for the cycle.
They were. Because the source then tells the observer to reverse that sequence. Flip it to 354, 354, 355.
Representing a lunar normal year sequence.
Correct. And then you just take the average of those 3 numbers.
And when you do that, you get 354.333.
Which is the synodic lunar year, accurate to 99.99%.
Wow.
They use the very system that misguides eternity to perfectly reveal an eternal cycle.
That's just, I mean, the sheer effort involved. Was this just to show off, to prove they were smart, or was there a deeper point?
I think it was both. But more importantly, it feels like this calculation was a key, a necessary first step to unlock the rest of the system, which is where things get really wild.
This is where we get into the Gemini missions.
Yes, this is where they start folding in modern history and religious texts.
So the source has a list of all 12 Gemini missions from 64 to 66. Each one has a countdown number next to it.
Right, and they specifically flag Gemini 8.
Which launched on March 16th, 1966. The source notes this is an allusion to John 3.16.
That's the first breadcrumb. The Bible is the cipher key, but the real meat of the code is in the last 5 missions. They all launched in 1966.
And the author treats the year 1966 as a pointer.
A pointer to the 66th book of the Bible, Revelation, specifically chapter 19.
Okay, so the launch days of those last 5 missions, 16, 03, 18, 12, and 11, those become verse numbers.
They become verse numbers in Revelation 19. And this is where a fundamental constant of physics just emerges.
How? What's the instruction?
The instruction is to find the word count of each of those 5 verses.
Okay.
The word counts are 20, 14, 45, 28, and 30. You're told to add them all together. The sum is 137.
137. And the source is you have to invert that result, 1 divided by 137. Why is that number so important?
Because 1 divided by 137 is, it's arguably one of the most important and mysterious numbers in all of physics. It's the fine structure constant.
Fine structure constant. For those of us who don't remember our quantum physics, what is that?
It's a number that measures the strength of the electromagnetic force. It's the constant that governs how light and matter interact.
So it determines how atoms hold together, how light works.
Pretty much. It's the secret of the photonic dance, as some call it. The fact that the author embedded this fundamental constant of the universe inside the Bible, using NASA launch dates as the key, that's the core revelation here.
They literally proved their poetic idea. The light-filled sine wave isn't just a metaphor, it's a number they can point to, hidden in our own history.
Exactly. But they don't stop there. This is where you see their mischievous side. They build a decoy.
The religious herring, the EPPO code.
Yes, it's this beautiful, elaborate, and completely meaningless parallel code.
And it's so complicated. You use specific word numbers from the same verses in Revelation.
Right. Word 3 of verse 16, word 6 of verse 3. You do all that work to pull out 5 words, H, A, N, D, O, F, N, D.
And then there's a whole other system to turn those words into numbers.
A very specific internal gematria, Give you a set of numbers, 37, 19, 21, 19, 19.
Which you then map back to letters of the alphabet, and you get KSUSS.
Which is an anagram for SCUS.
And the punchline.
SCUS is an actual database code from the EPPO, the European and Mediterranean Plant Protection Organization. It's the code for a species of aster, a flower.
So the whole thing is a wild goose chase that ends in a botanical database.
It's the author basically winking at you. They're saying, I built you a perfect cosmic clock, the fine structure constant. And right next to it, I built you this beautiful, useless decoy to see if you were paying attention to the truth or just the puzzle.
That reinforces the whole theme. The mandate is to find the real truth, even when it's hidden behind layers of deception.
And the final layer of that truth ties everything back to the sky. It syncs the Gemini missions with real-time astronomical cycles.
Right. Section 4, this is where they bring in that old book, A Pulsar's Canon der Finsternis from 1887.
An old catalog of eclipses. And they focus on 2 specific total solar eclipses, which they link to Psalms 142 and 127.
The first one, Saris 142, was on November 12, 1966.
And there's the linchpin. That eclipse happened one single day after the final Gemini mission, Gemini 12, launched on November 11th.
So the pinnacle of humanity's linear push to the stars leads directly into a profound, cyclical, astronomical event.
It's a perfect synchronization. And then they tie that moment to the future. The second eclipse they list, Saros 127, is predicted for August 15th, 2091.
So they're braiding the past and the future together with the Gemini program as the knot in the center.
And they even give you the scientific mechanism for it in the margins, that little formula. Delta T equals TT minus UT.
What does that mean?
It's the formula for the difference between terrestrial time, which is the perfect uniform time of atomic clocks, and universal time, which is based on the Earth's wobbly, slightly irregular rotation.
So it's literally the math that measures the discrepancy between perfect time and our messy reality.
It's the ultimate nonlinear measurement. It's the physical proof behind the lunar code they cracked in the beginning. It all ties together.
And then one last little puzzle, a final cipher.
One last cipher. They take the TD times, the terrestrial dynamic times, for both eclipses, 14.23 and 0.35.
And the instruction says to rearrange the non-zero digits to 23.35.14.
The order is based on the sequence of importance, which is a bit cryptic, but when you follow the steps, those numbers, whether through a simple letter mapping or keyboard layout, spell a word.
They spell win.
Rin.
So, okay. The win is successfully decoding all of this. The lunar cycle, the fine structure constant, the eclipse sync. After all that, what have we really learned about what this author was trying to say?
I think the sources are this elegant, deeply obsessive, and ultimately successful proof of concept. They show the hidden cyclical connections between, well, everything.
It's not just random data.
Not at all. The sheer complexity and accuracy of the codes, getting the lunar year right, pulling out 1137, it all proves the author's core belief that these eternal bonds are, as the poem says, long revealed, not sealed in little jars.
So they didn't invent a time loop. They just showed us how it's already encoded in our most linear records, our calendars, our history, our race to space.
They're telling us to stop looking at things in a straight line and start looking for the cycles, for the resonance.
To look past the surface level noise and find those frequencies where things that seem totally separate actually line up perfectly.
Like a NASA launch and a solar eclipse a day later.
Which I guess brings us to our final thought for you, the learner. The text itself says that words are deceptive and truth can seem that way, but without that dynamic, there is no day. Light. So given how successful these sources were at encoding fundamental truths of the universe into our own cultural history, what other knowledge about these cycles, about light, might be hiding just beneath the surface of things we see every day?
From nursery rhymes to the architecture of our cities, what other hidden calendars are we constantly living by but completely misreading?
Something to think about.
Definitely something to ponder until our next deep dive.
See you next time.